Eagle and Hawk, Vince Fontaine, Indian City, and just regular old Vince Fontaine. Welcome to the program.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. Where are you located, by the way?
Northern California, about an hour north of Sacramento,
Got it. Okay,
in the
lovely.
in the
Yeah.
foothills.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Well, of course, I'm in Winnipeg, the center of, as we call Turtle Island. It's the coldest day of the year. Well, actually, the coldest day probably since last year. It's crazy cold today. Crazy. Like you wouldn't even know what minus 20, 22 feels like. It's cold today.
After zero, it all just kind of is generalized cold.
It's all the same. And you know what? The thing is, it's not like you're hanging outside. You're pretty much just going to your car or the store or the mall or something. I guess it's like it being 110 outside in the summer or something. You don't want to hang outside too long.
But see, I heard you Winnipeg musicians are really good because you have nothing else to do but practice.
Well, my guitar doesn't go outside. You're right. We do a couple things in the winter. We play our guitars, our music, and we play hockey. Go figure. I know you got the San Jose Sharks up in that neck of the woods, apparently. So
Yes, we do, but for some reason, hockey never. It's like the bottom of our professional sports, which is weird because it's fun and it's violent and I like it.
it's got contact, let's put it that way. You're absolutely right. But you're right. I mean, in the United States, there's so much sports coming out of college, whether it's, football, baseball, all that kind of stuff. So basketball, number one. So hockey would take the low end, I'm sure.
I can't think of a college hockey team at the moment. So
There's lots in the north, like Michigan, the Wisconsin Badgers, North Dakota. They used to call themselves the Fighting Sioux, but apparently they changed their name a couple years ago. I don't even know if it's called Fighting anymore. I'm not sure. But there's a lot of hockey, really great hockey. Believe it or not, of course, Canada, they like to call it their national sport. But in America, I tell you, the junior teams just beat the Canadian junior team for the World Championship. American kids, the American boys and women are top notch in hockey. Really good.
maybe I'll start paying attention.
Oh, they got great teams, just like their soccer team, women's soccer team, big time.
Yeah, we have our Sacramento team. So I don't know. I think, are we doing sports again? I have no idea. I don't know how you would play hockey in a mask, but we'll figure it out.
Well, we're kind of in a bit of a code red lockdown, believe it or not, since early November. So there's no sports. We can go shopping and outside you go for walks. Of course, today you're not going to go outside walking, but you can go to the mall indoor and walk around. Like I did that first thing this morning, and there's a bunch of people, mall walkers, they call them.
A roving gang. We're not going to spend any money, but we're here.
Yeah, exactly. But I did shop, so what the heck? Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I do. Pretty much the last few months, of course, with this COVID is such a crazy time. And but now that 2021 has arrived, I'm really kind of looking ahead to whenever the music kind of starts to continue to roll out there, and I'm hoping that maybe by summer we'll do a couple of live gigs, even if they're smaller audience. So I'm optimistic.
Well, you released at the end of 2019 Eagle and Hawk Best of 20 Years that you were gonna promote in 2020, but then the world's falling apart and you can't be like, buy my CD.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's right. We did. We actually released Eagle and Hawk's first album in almost 10, 12 years. We released it at the end of 2020, pretty much. Actually, it was the end of November. But, sadly, at that exact time, one of our long-running original bandmates suddenly passed away. And so it put everything on hold. Our dear friend, Jerry Atwell, keyboardist, fantastic rapper and songwriter. So yeah, we had to put all that on hold. And the next thing you know, February and March, this thing called COVID starts rolling around the bend. So we really didn't do much pushing and promoting. In fact, most of the musician people probably wondered where the heck the future music was going to go. We didn't know how long, whatever, right?
Still kind of wondering. But
Yeah,
then lo and behold, I find out that there's a documentary about Eagle and Hawk in these 20 years.
that's true. I know. Eh? Um, So the national broadcaster in Canada, we have four, just like I guess in the US, we have ABC, NBC, CBS, and so on and so on. In Canada, we have CTV. The longest running though is CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Company. So they approached me a couple of years ago and said, "Hey, you guys, let's put it down and create your legacy, and so they said, yeah, let's do a music documentary. And sure enough, we started working on it maybe in 2019. And we were going to release it probably spring or early summer in 2020, then COVID. So we left it, and then we left it up to the broadcasters. Basically, it's their baby, and they released it on a Saturday night prime time television across the country on Halloween. How
That's awesome.
that?
Well, what was it like being, like MTV behind the scene, everybody looking at you and tell us everything? Because you
Well,
seem so cool and mellow. Like you're not like one of those ego rock stars where you love talking about yourself. You're just such a nice dude.
well, thank you for that. It was cool, but it was even cooler. I got this kind of invitation to put on the director hat, and I was kind of co-director in a lot of it. And so I guess in a sense, what that meant was I was really having an opportunity to give a bit of a vision on how I wanted it to unroll as well. So there's so much to tell in a 30-minute documentary.
Yeah.
There's so much I could have told in an hour or 2 hours, but you want to kind of highlight some of the areas. So yeah, and I kind of knew what our calendar was, and so for example, we had a couple of live gigs, and I said, you got to bring your camera here and come to our 20th anniversary show and come to our big Canada Day, which is like the 4th of July. We had a huge gig at the main park downtown Winnipeg, which is like 50,000 people, and we had it with the symphony orchestra. It was really cool. So they came with their cameras, and we didn't get to use the footage from the symphony because they're the symphony and they're all union and they wanted us to pay big money. It's like, no, never mind. That's fine. We'll just say we did it with the symphony and use still pictures. Anyways, it was a real great thing and really emotional, like to go back the 20 years from the beginning, in the early days, in the mid 90s, late 90s, Eagle and Hawk all of a sudden had this huge door open in Europe. And next thing you know, we were touring Europe like in the early days, 97, 98, 99, 2000, 3, 4 times a year. And it was like, whoa, these folks, they want to know what the heck's going on with the native, I guess, story and music and version, right? So that was cool.
Well, how long did that last? Are they still huge fans or were you guys just a phase?
They're all older folk now. No, just kidding. To be honest, I think I got tired of touring. I know it sounds funny, like if I said to Jay or Singer and I said, "Hey, yeah, we got tour." He says, "Where are we going?" Well, the usual: Zurich, Berlin, Frankfurt. Maybe Paris. Yeah, okay. How long are we going for? So I guess we kind of peaked in a sense, and we were starting to get a lot of press back in Canada and the US, and folks wanted to know, hey, what's going on with this group that always goes to Europe, and you get your picture in the paper with the Backstreet Boys, stuff like that. It was pretty interesting. Yeah, so we just kind of decided we weren't going to go necessarily anymore in 2001, and the phone started to ring a lot in Canada, and we decided this is what we're going to do, because every time you went to Europe, you're going to go there for a month at least. So you're giving up a month of your time. And it was really great because we had pockets of Europe where we toured, and we had maybe 3 or 4 different promoters. So we would say to our promoter in Zurich, Switzerland, okay, here's 8 days, fill up what you can, and then we'll take it from there. And then the next promoter in Germany, same thing, right? So that's kind of how we navigated our way. And I got to add, though, it didn't start out of the blue from nothing. All that Europe stuff and going that kind of direction with Eagle and Hawk really started um, in Arizona, southwestern Arizona, with Keith Secola, one of my best, one of my friends over the years, one of my mentors, music mentors. Back in 95, 96, I started playing shows with him as Keith's guitar player in the Wild Band of Indians. It was really great. It was musicology, Native Americana 101. So that kind of gave me a bit of footing. And yeah, so I always got to remember and remind people that, before myself with Eagle and Hawk, there was myself with Keith Secola and different folks like that.
So were you always a rocker through and through? Is that your genre?
Hey, so I have a YouTube channel. Well, first of all, there's an Eagle and Hawk YouTube channel. I just think it's Eagle and Hawk Rocks on YouTube. And then there's Indian City Music, but there's also a Vince Fontaine Music. And it's just kind of more of an archive channel. But today, of all the days, I posted a audio clip with a great picture of a band I had in 1992. The band was called Straight Jacket, and we were a rock and roll long-haired bar band, I gotta tell you. And we were playing in one of the rock rooms in Edmonton, Alberta, and we were playing an Alice Cooper cover, Be My Lover. And I got to tell you, because I found an old cassette, and of course during COVID, you find all this stuff in your basement, in your closets. So I found all these old cassettes, board tapes. So I had them made to CD, and then I converted it, and I just uploaded a video, like about just a couple of hours ago. Straight Jacket, and there's me in the picture on YouTube, playing an Alice Cooper cover. So yeah, to answer your question, it was rock and roll with a Les Paul in the late 80s, early 90s. Let me tell you.
Trying to figure out like how the black eye shadow. I'm trying to picture you with the black fingernails, and
Go that far with the makeup, but I had the full leather jacket. We did a lot of that, and we swung around. Yeah, absolutely.
I
You're
love.
playing, Metallica and all that kind of stuff. And then we, of course, got into the grunge era, in the early 90s as well. And this is when I started playing, but drifting off, thinking, hey, I should really do my own band. That's how Eagle and Hawk in its thinking was formed in the early 90s, 93, 94, 95, because, there was a lot of stuff going on globally, right?
Yeah.
In Canada, we had that Oka crisis where it became an international situation over the land in Quebec. And then there was even Hollywood stuff that was giving it a bit of a boost, like I don't mean this as an absolute, but the Dances with Wolves era. People were interested in Native Americana because of the movie, and Thunderheart with Val Kilmer and Robbie Robertson coming out of the blue. And next thing you know, he's Native, and he's got this great album, and Redbone is back, and Buffy St. Marie. So these were some of the things that really pushed me to get into kind of my own writing starting point, with Eagle and Hawk. And, I wasn't any kind of big songwriter in the day. I was playing more covers. So just try and start writing, I had to kind of think about what are my chops, what do I have? And so, one of my great influences musically has always been Led Zeppelin. And, a lot of those bands. And so one of the first songs we ever wrote, and it's on our Eagle and Hawk webpage archives. And it's a song the first song we ever wrote was called Eagle and Hawk. And that then became the name of the band, right? So that's kind of how that started. Yeah.
Are you the eagle or the hawk or the and?
That's a really good question, and you hit all three on the head. Boy, you're good. Typically, I'm the eagle. Depends whoever's singing is the hawk. Well, normally Troy Westwood, the original founder with me, was the hawk. He's an artist in his own right. So let me just tell you something quickly about Troy Westwood. He's a very good friend of mine. He was a professional football player for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers of the Canadian Football League. He was a place kicker, an all-star. And in fact, he had a tryout with the 49ers, the San Francisco 49ers, flew him down there. This is in the Steve Young, Joe Montana era, like in the late 90s. He said he got off the plane off the airport, and there was somebody in the airport with a big San Francisco 49ers helmet. And he says, well, that must be my guy. So Troy Westwood was the first, singer-songwriter with me with Eagle and Hawk. And, so we wrote the first album and kind of set the blueprint of what Eagle and Hawk was going to be. It was basically going to be kind of a rock fusion with some indigenous thoughts and thinking. And that's how we wrote the first album. Then, of course, Jay came in after, right? So.
Well, did you guys both just kind of click easy and quick on the concept and blend musically? Like, I mean, for you just to kind of, I want to do my own thing. And here we are 20 years later in a documentary and a greatest hits and new music and such. Like, you're making it sound like, oh, no big deal. We had coffee and here we are.
Well, actually, with Troy, it was kind of like that. With Troy, he really had the vision of making a stand, of what he wanted to say, socially, as far as the native voice, right? And so my cousin, and I have to add this story, and Phil Fontaine, he's older than me, and he was the national chief in Canada for 3 terms, for almost 10 years. And he had a lot of social and political influence. And he says, hey, Vince, why don't you get Troy and you guys come together? I'm going to connect you with an elder and we're going to put on a sweat lodge for you. Back in the day, this is in like 93. And so sure enough, this Ojibwe elder put on a sweat lodge and said, you guys come in, we're going to kind of, we're going to solidify your brotherhoodness, something like that. But so he put on this sweat lodge and Troy and I went in and we, basically were friends and brothers from that point. So Troy is in the documentary, of course, at the beginning. He talks about that, and there's talk of his football career too. But now he's like a TSN, which is like ESPN. He's a radio host.
That's cool. No, so this documentary here in America, and I love how you like explain and compare things like Canada Day. I like how you break it down for all of us Americans who are like, what's a Boxing Day? Number one. Number two, I'm going to start paying attention to our hockey stuff. But where can people in America or on the internet access this documentary? Because I don't want to be like, tell me your story, but they can just go watch it and we can talk about other stuff.
For sure. I mean, the other thing people may not know, and what's a good time to say it, of course, with the American audience, I went to school in Clinton, Iowa. I went to school in Iowa when I was a kid. My father was an American citizen. And so my father was also a World War II veteran who was a POW. So I have this whole angle of America and this and that. It's so it's my fondest, youthful memories, of course, right? But as far as the documentary, it was broadcast and released by CBC, as I mentioned. I don't know if American or international audience can access it. So what I did was we copied it and we put it on the Eagle and Hawk Music YouTube channel in its entirety. So you can just go to Eagle and Hawk Music and you'll see Eagle and Hawk Takes the Stage. There's one that's the trailer, but go to the Eagle and Hawk Music channel on YouTube and you'll find the full documentary. It's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool because really, you've been in the game for this long. And also, I want to talk about Indian City too, because it wasn't just about you and your rock band and your long hair and all your ladies. Indian City was a project that I thought had more youthful connections and more youth involved.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll tell you the story that, and it's like, hang on, just adjusting this 1 second. So, Eagle and Hawk around 2011-ish, Jay was leaving the band. He had gone to university for quite a few years. He became, had his Bachelor of Nursing, and it was time for him to join the front lines as a nurse. So he was announcing he was going to take time off. And I was already thinking of ways, how do we keep the ball rolling? And this is when I had this idea of Indian City Band. And so I got inspired by a couple of things. I'll explain the original inspiration if people might get it. And then the second one that solidified it. On the PBS channel, I watched this music documentary on a music group from New York City in the mid-70s. They were a Latino band. In fact, they coined the phrase salsa for music. And so they were called the Fania All-Stars. And so the Fania All-Stars were a salsa band from New York that put this fusion dance together with Latin beats. And what they had, though, they had this big band, 10, 12, 15-piece band. And out on the stage came 2, 3 singers, not at the same time, but it wasn't a band. It was kind of fronted by different singers. And I thought, hey, that's a cool concept. I bet you I can do that kind of with a native kind of twist, right? And in Winnipeg or Canada, there was already a lot of great talent of singers. And I thought, boy, if I could put them all together under one stage, that'd be the coolest. And then all of a sudden, around the same time in late 2011, Carlos Santana, right off his huge Supernatural album.
Mm-hmm.
It won probably the most Grammys one year. Well, what was the blueprint of that album? He had about like 8, 9, 10 singers on it, on his album. So
different,
I thought,
different women, different this, different, yeah, each one had a different vibe and feel.
it was so cool. I thought, hey, and so I flew to Calgary to watch him play. I just wanted to see what was up with it. So I flew to Calgary, watched his show, and I thought, hey, he doesn't sing. He, in fact, at a show, he barely talks. but he had these great singers with him, 2 or 3 singers that were his band. And I thought, this is it. Our Indian City will be that kind of blueprint, that kind of band. So I started talking to people right off the top. Right now in Canada, and I think he's getting into the US, is William Prince. He's a fabulous singer-songwriter with a big, deep voice. Very, he's on the rise, incredible. So he was one of the first guys I drafted. And then, of course, another singer was Don Amaro. Same thing. He was kind of like a native John Mayer. Really great singer. And then there was a fabulous female singer, Pamela Davis. And those were kind of the core of my new singers for Indian City. And I says, well, let's put an album together, So started writing collectively, with them. And at the end of the day, we released the first, it was called Vince Fontaine's Indian City. And there was, I think, 10 or 12 tracks on there. I was just actually going through them. And so people like Don Amaro, William Prince, Pamela Davis, they were featured on there. And it was so cool. That's how, and they're all younger than me, right? So what a better way to keep yourself youthful and talented with these talented folks.
How many albums did Indian City do? Because I just have Super Nation.
Well, there's another one called Colors.
Okay. Oh, wait, I do have that. I just haven't ripped it. Okay, yes.
So Colors is from 2014 or 2015. And then Indian City Here and Now came out in 2017, late 2017. And actually Here and Now, sometimes I have little themes to the albums or ideas, And so 2017 Here and Now was really about Canada's 150th kind of anniversary. And, for Indigenous folks, the relationship with Canada wasn't the greatest for 150 years. A lot of history that was really dark. And some of the content on the album was about that. So residential schools, children taken to the schools, like the Scoop and all that, and the schools, like the Indian schools, and missing and murdered Indigenous women, which of course is the same in the US, right? So we wrote songs about that on the album, but I didn't want it to be all doom and gloom. So there was some wonderful songs. I think some of my best songwriting to date was on that album. Songs like Tree of Life, my goodness, it's such a fabulous song, Tree of Life. Seasons, this is a pop song which just about the 4 seasons. Simple song, but features the great vocals of Shannon McKinney. So the whole philosophy of Indian City Band was to host and promote and share Indigenous talent. And
you did that. You done did that, Vince.
Yeah, thanks. Somebody's got to do it.
Awesome.
So I'll give you a little hint of something. Nobody really knows too much about this, but there's a big rumor going on that Indian City Band will do a new album in 2021, this year, soon, very soon. Could be working on it today, in fact.
I like that rumor. Very much.
Yeah.
Well, and it is because I know that like some of the songs, right, weren't they old Eagle and Hawk songs, but revamped? I noticed some titles sometimes that are other titles.
There was only one we did a version of Sundancer.
Okay. See, that's what it was.
did a version of Sundancer, so that was one of them, the only one. But all of the Indian City songs are more pop and female and youthful male. Eagle
Mhm.
and Hawk are roots rock. That's how Eagle and Hawk.
A more of a techno side too, like you said, that pop electronica, more ching ching.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Yeah, like songs like Siren or Sunrise Second. There's a great song on Indian City called Duet. It's a pop song. It should be a hit. We just haven't had a chance to really push it to so many places. But I think there's some great songs on the Indian City discography. Yeah.
Repertoire.
Repertoire, all of that stuff. Yeah.
I love it. So, okay, let's say right now I'm like, oh my gosh, Vince Fontaine is awesome. Where can I just buy all the stuff and do all the things? Where's the portal to all things Eagle and
Well,
Hawk?
you can people can find us on social media, the usuals, Facebook, Indian City and Eagle and Hawk. But also, we still have the old fashioned web pages up that are up to date, kind of like, so indiancity.ca. That's one. Eagleandhawk.com. I'm just in the midst of updating my company, by the way, which is called Rising Sun Productions. That's been my company for about 15 years. So it's risingsunproduction.ca. We're just going to have our webpage updated completely. And the reason we're doing that, during COVID, I didn't even know what the heck my product and service was anymore. I'm thinking, gee, am
Right?
I out of business, this and that. So we have, like you said, we have such a repertoire that we're going to try and start pushing some of our music for licensing and placement. Because I think there's some real catchy tunes over the years. We're going to remix a couple tracks and give it a push. But that's where you'll find the music of Indian City and Eagle and Hawk, which I'm very proud of. We did do a release of a single, which is, in a sense, one of our old classics, probably the better known song of Eagle and Hawk, which is called Sundancer. And we released it just last week as a single, which should be up very soon on CD Baby and iTunes, all that kind of stuff. Which we titled it Sundancer 21. And we just did a video for it. And the video and the song, first of all, the song's lyric is carry the weight on your shoulder, right? This is what a sundancer does when they go into their Sundance ritual in summer solstice. They'll go and dance and pray for 3-4 days and kind of deny themselves, food and stuff like that. And they pray for us. But in a sense, what they're doing is they're carrying the weight through their prayer and sacrifice. And I thought, this is what's happening in COVID. There's a lot of people on the front lines, essential workers, frontline workers. And so we dedicated this Sundancer 21, aptly named 21, because we're in 2021, but we're together going to one. And we're highlighting that with all the people who are carrying the weight on their shoulders, which is really interesting because I watched the presidential inauguration last week, and I watched some of the speeches, and I was really happy that performers participated. I mean, it's what musicians do. They participate in social things, celebrations, social protests, not getting violent, of course, but I was very happy about that. And then I saw President Biden. He was talking about the frontline workers and how they were honoring them. And I was very touched that, coming from the top office in the US, that they were acknowledging the essential and frontline workers. And I thought, how in line is that? That's really the global message. We need to honor all of the frontline workers across the world. And so our song Sundancer, Carry the Weight on Your Shoulders, is exactly about that. And I don't know if people have seen the video, but the video, of course, is on the YouTube channel Eagle and Hawk, and it's Sundancer 21.
We will share the links. Vince, can you move your phone a little bit because the sun is in your face eyes?
I see that. Yeah. Is that any better?
Yes, it's much better. I'm not losing half of your delightful expressions.
I see
So,
that. What's sunny here? Yeah.
do you guys have like merch and t-shirts? And I need physical CDs. I need to hold my music. So
Yeah.
Where is there merch? Do you ship to the US? Are we just separated?
No, we want to do that. We want to ship. We do have physical CDs. Absolutely, we have physical CDs.
So
And
people can order online. Will you autograph them?
you know what? Yes, I will do that too. What I do is if people find us on social media and they start requesting that, that's one of the things we want to do. So we're going to update our webpage and say, if you want to order physical CDs, you can do that for sure. So, pardon me, I'm just going to get out of this room. Follow me. Can you
Yes, sir.
uh,
Oh,
follow me? I think I have CDs, but we're going to see. We're going to go into my office.
we're gonna learn together.
We're going to go in my office. Okay, so check this out. This is my music room, by the way.
Lovely.
Look at this.
It's so clean for a music room.
I know I just did the vacuuming. Okay, hang on. Whoa, what's this?
Oh yeah, there we go.
Whoa,
Got it.
whoa,
Got it.
whoa.
Don't know if I got it. I got one. Got it.
You see that color CD?
Love it. It's beautiful.
Eagle and Hawk. Oh, so yes, to answer your question, this I have CDs. That's
All
pretty
right,
cool.
well, get that Sharpie out because you're going to be sending out a bunch of autographed Eagle and Hawk.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, that's the coolest. So, of course, I like having CDs too. And of course, in my vehicle, it has a CD player still somehow. That's kind of cool.
Well, they don't even come with them anymore. Like now I have to get things separately and have a pile piled up for me to rip things. Like computers don't just have things in things anymore.
Oh, I know. Yeah, crazy.
Like such an angry old lady. And that's when I guess I appreciate you too. Like you're down for whatever and you evolve and jump on board and change ideas. I am so stuck in my ways that all I want is my Megadeth and Black Sabbath and leave me alone. Where's my dog? So I really do appreciate your tenacity, I guess, when it comes to creating music and doing this. So I am on your Eagle and Hawk Facebook like page, and there I am staring at the Sundancer video.
Right.
So
Okay.
that is up on your stuff. So
Yeah.
that's great. And then I got your Indian City.ca website pulled up so people can learn all about. Look at all them young faces. They just took you out of the picture. Oh, there you are. Okay.
Isn't that
I
funny?
thought they just ditched you. And then eagleandhawk.com. I wouldn't look at Tor because that's not happening. But there again, too, they can look at more about your guys' bios. They can watch on YouTube the documentary of your 20 years of coolness. What is it called? Vince Fontaine, I'm a rocker through and through. What was it called again?
Which one? Which one? Eagle
Your
and Hawk.
documentary.
Eagle and Hawk takes the stage.
Okay, I take the cake, but you take the stage. That's fine.
Eagle and Hawk stage, yeah.
So I guess I'm not going to pry too much into the future of Indian City, but is that kind of going to always be a continuing project? Like no matter what, we can expect this Indian City to evolve and mutate and continue into the future?
Yeah, I guess it really comes down to one thing. As long as the phone rings still, then sure, right? If the phone rings for a gig or they want to hear a song or this and that, then yeah, absolutely. Why not? Yeah, I think that's the bottom line to answer your question. It's a simple answer, and yeah, for sure. Plus, we got some ideas on what we want to write about. I think it's important time, and we have voices, I think. One of the things I'll send your way, and maybe you have a comment on it, during the COVID, you do all kinds of things at home, right? So music, movies, there's only so much TV on the couch you can do too. But I watched a lot of music documentaries, which is wonderful, right? And I thought, hey, that's cool. We have a documentary too. But I watched an old one that was in the 70s, from the 70s, and it was Bob Dylan, and it was called the Rolling Thunder Review. Martin Scorsese had directed it, and Bob Dylan came out in, I guess, 76, started his tour in his little band, and he wanted to make it kind of roots, not an album, not an arena or stadium tour, but kind of a rootsy town hall, bingo hall type of thing. And he was political and social with great music. And he surrounded himself with folks like Joan Baez, Joni Mitchell, and he was political. He was promoting his lobby for the release of this, with the song "The Hurricane," which is about the that was wrongly convicted. And Ruben, gee, I forgot his last name, but he was promoting that, and he even got to visit the president, who was Jimmy Carter at the time. And he even went into an American Indian reservation and visited with the folks and talked about stuff like that. And I thought, what a cool time and what a cool message that he did. One of the social voices of the time, of course, he still is. I thought, wouldn't it be the coolest if there was a Native Americana kind of tour cruising across America and bringing the voice of healing and teaching? This is what I was thinking. I was thinking, that might be a cool idea. I better talk to some of my friends in the US, and maybe, you never know, something like that, if it ever got legs, you know what I mean? So I'm just talking out loud to you.
Yeah, I support it.
Wouldn't
But
that be the coolest?
here's a question though, because I've interviewed Buffy before and a few times, and we joke and say she was brown listed because Nixon blacklisted her, didn't want to play her stuff. So I guess, why did Bob Dylan get to say protest things and get to go high five the president, and Buffy, who was already singing protest things and the native voice, and she got
That's
like,
very true.
it's weird. So I hear what you're saying, but then all my issues got triggered. I'm like, Buffy was already doing it.
Well, actually, absolutely. Buffy was already doing it. So was, Floyd Red Crow Westerman was doing it, folks like that. And I always make sure I acknowledge those folks that were doing. John Trudell was doing it. But you see, I don't know the answer 100%. I can give my small opinion. At the time when Buffy was doing it, I think Uncle Sam was after some of the American Indian voices, whether or not they wanted to hear them or not, because you had, the stuff that was, so you had political stuff that were going down, and 4 or 5 years later in America, there was a bit of a social and political different climate. It wasn't the Nixon era anymore. So I guess social and political climate has a lot to do with the possibilities of that, right? Whether or not we would have been able to even consider this notion 3 years ago, maybe not. But perhaps with the new social and political door that might be opening, we don't know where it's going to land. I mean, politics is politics, but maybe there's a bit of a opening. In fact, today, with the new president signing the Declaration of Racial Equality, that they want to help that inequality even up, so that it's not such a problem in the U.S. In fact, what President Biden said today was he's signing something to help with the tribal communities, because there's such an inequality, for decades and centuries, right? So in my mind, I'm thinking these are openings that perhaps we might have to jump through really quick and get that voice out there, because in a sense, and it's nothing against the last administration or anything like that, I don't mean to say that. I'm just saying sometimes there's a door, and if we can go through, because the other thing I'd like to push is both sides of the story, always. Like that's kind of the tribal way, right? And there's a song that Eagle and Hawk wrote on the last album called The Great Divide. In fact, we did a video called The Great Divide, you'll find on YouTube. That particular highlight of that video we did was a lot about the Black Lives Matter movement because of the unfortunate incident that happened. But there's so many great divides, and the whole song, it doesn't change its message. It's all about coming a little bit closer to an understanding. So I'd like to have people come around the circle, not to be on that side and that side. No, 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 come around the circle and let's take that caravan on the road and pick up some of my pals like Kisakola, Gabriel Ayala, you know what I mean? Maybe something like that. And Muti Stingwell can dance his heart off, you know? So anyways, I'm thinking out loud here, right?
I'm thinking out loud with you. I've always wanted to do a protest album of the songs of I don't know more and this and that, the songs that came out of Standing Rock, just a protest album
Yeah.
to consolidate that. And I guess that's what freaks me out. So you again, Bob Dylan singing about social injustice, but we are 50 years later and it's hard to feel like things have changed if these, you know what I'm saying? Like they're still singing about the same injustices.
That's true. Yeah. Well, you know, I'd like to think that things have inched along in some places, and some they haven't. But yeah, 60s and 70s could not have been an easy time for folks. Like my sisters were older than me, 10 years older. I know for a fact, very difficult for them when they were, Indigenous women in the 60s and 70s. It was not easy. So, I'd like to think that they were carrying their shoulders too. Some of these efforts, right? They had efforts on their own behalf, right? So,
You are correct. No, and I should pause and acknowledge what has changed instead. Because I'm my generation, your generation is your generation. We've all seen these
mhm,
pockets and things. So I guess it is important to stop and look back and say, okay, we are now protected. Our religion and our ceremonies are now protected.
mhm.
That is something instead of whining about, "Meh, we still can't, people make fun of us for wearing ribbon skirts. Meh." We do kind of have to pause and acknowledge the accomplishments, but there's still so much meh.
Oh, well, I mean, there's just so much to even up. you know, there's a long way up still, and we have to keep that in mind.
And when you're talking about stuff, you're not talking about inflicting the same torment on the Canadian or US government that was inflicted onto indigenous people. You're not looking for vengeance, right? You're looking to move forward and figure it out. You're not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I think historically that's the best way to negotiate and get an even seat at the table, right? Is you come with solutions and dialogue and narrative. I don't want to sound cliche or anything, but I mean, there are things that I think Indigenous people have to say that can be part of this narrative. That's this discussion that's happened socially and political, let's say in the US in the last couple of years, in fact, in the last several months. I think there's a will. I believe in the goodwill of humankind. I believe in that more so than the damaging approach. And I think that's the essence and principles of Indigenous people. That's our tribal ancestry. And I think that's what I'd like to bring to the table, those voices. And musical elders like Kisakola, etc., they got a say, I think, in that kind of stuff. And, and by the way, I was really excited. One year in my community, Saugeen First Nation, Ojibwe, north of Winnipeg, they said, "Hey, we're having our treaty days, celebration, powwow, etc. Why don't you put on a concert? Here's a little bit of a budget." And I thought, wow, who can I get? So holy smokes, I was so excited. I phoned up Floyd Redco Westerman, and I says, you got to come down here. And so I got Floyd here and the women from Eulalie. Oh, it's incredible. So it was just Floyd and I driving up the highway. And it's funny. I still, when people have passed, I don't delete their phone number. I still have Floyd's phone number from Marina Del Rey in California, where he lived. I still have it on my phone. So that's wonderful, though, to hear the stories from those folks. And here's another great story, a fabulous story. Eagle and Hawk was given an invitation to play at the American Indian Film Festival in San Francisco in, I think, 2006. So the show was running over. So we're in the backstage walking around pacing. And here's this guy walking around in the back, and he's got a nice blazer on and t-shirt and glasses. And he finally decides he's going to come up to me. And I knew who he was, but I was a little shy. Plus, I didn't want to bother him. Comes up to me and he goes, "Hi, I'm John Trudell." I says, "I know who you are." I says, "I read about you in Rolling Stone magazine. I know who you are. I read about you. Of course I know you." And then I said to him, I joked around with him, I says, "I really like that song you wrote, Bombs Over Baghdad." And he was impressed that I knew that song, which was written right after Desert Storm started in 91. So anyways, he was another one of our voices, right? That may have been too political for some people, but
yes. But here we are. You can almost play any John Trudell song at any moment, and it means something in that time and place.
Exactly. Absolutely.
And I feel that, I don't know, Eagle and Hawk is kind of like that, because no matter what random song I play on my program, because I do a lot because I need to rock, got to sit down the flute sometimes, Vince. Okay. Got to sit down the flute a little bit. And I feel like whatever you're saying somehow fits in perfectly into whatever was happening that day or that week, or it's I feel that you guys, your voice is that kind of consistent staple now in our narrative. So high five.
Well, that's a nice compliment. Beautiful. Yeah. Very nice.
I mean, you're not as cool as John Trudell. I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying.
I'll wear a blazer like that.
Your music stands as a hodgepodge of, when we think Native musicians, Eagle and Hawk is there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you so much for that. Yeah.
And I just appreciate you guys rocking. I'm telling you, people want us to be this calm, stoic Native with the drum and the birds, okay, and the water. And some of us need to bang on drums and scream sing. We just
Absolutely. Hey, I got to tell you, I mean, there's somebody asked me recently, what are your, some of your top gigs? And I'm thinking, but there's so many, hundreds, right? But a couple that came to mind, and one that came to mind that's on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and you put in Eagle and Hawk Wild West Show, New Orleans Jazz Fest. So Eagle and Hawk is so fortunate to have played the New Orleans Jazz Fest. Not once, but twice. Like, it's one thing to get there, but then to get called back, it's like, whoa. So this song, The Wild West Show on YouTube, New Orleans Jazz Fest, is such a great performance. There's a great rap by Jerry Atwell, the late Jerry Atwell. Oh my goodness. And then there's a great guitar solo. You'll love it with the Les Paul.
Yes. So give it all to us again, because you sound like you have a treasure trove. So Eagle and Hawk, and it's AND.
Yes.
So Eagle and Hawk on YouTube. So Eagle and Hawk music. What was it before I mess it up for everybody?
I'm just looking at it here. Hang on.
I didn't want to look it up because I didn't want like a song to start blasting. So I looked up your quiet websites. I was scared if I looked up a YouTube, it would just start screaming, "Song for Turtle Island, song for Turtle Island."
Song for Turtle. Okay, so it's
it's not and the Hawk, because John Denver shows up.
Hang on, Eagle and Hawk, Wild West Show, New Orleans.
Like how we're just on. Okay, so there's your Liberty. I see. I don't want noise. I don't want any noise to play. So yes, I'm going to find. There it is. There's one under. There we go. I'm going to subscribe to your page now, sir.
Found it? Okay.
So I am now subscribed to Eagle and Hawk on YouTube, where there is a bunch of videos that we discuss: the Sundancer, the Great Divide, Take the Stage is on there. I see it. Videos, there's just a hodgepodge. So I will.
There's quite a few, yeah, and some of them are, they're they're archives videos so that we have the audio if we ever want to send a link, say somebody wants to see, hear an old fashioned
You
stuff like
guys
that.
got a chunk of content up on your YouTube. This
Yeah.
isn't just a few little bleh. You guys got some
It's
good stuff going on. Okay. And then Facebook, I'm on Eagle and Hawk, the like page, and there's links to your videos and such too.
Yeah. By the way, if you want to find this Eagle and Hawk at the New Orleans Jazz Fest, you got to do Eagle and then that sign Hawk at the 2011 New Orleans Jazz Fest. That's a real good one. I like this is one
I
of
love
my.
how you love it.
That's a performance one, yeah. Because
You're
it just rocks.
Well, that's all that matters, Vince.
Yeah, that's a
Ah,
rock and roll. Yeah, got a Les Paul guitar solo. That's what you need to know.
that's to sum up this interview. That's all you need to know. So, IndianCity.ca.
Yeah,
There's links to that. And you said there's a Indian City YouTube channel as well.
yeah. Let's find it. Let's see where it is. Indians.
Too much of this. We really, I feel like we could have done this earlier, but we didn't.
Yeah, it's coming. No, it's coming. I should know this off the top of my head.
No, I just got City Indian. Oh, it's Vince Fontaine's. That's why.
No, there's two. But if you go to Indian City Music is the YouTube channel.
Okay.
Indian City Music. Yeah, there's a lot of video there as well.
Bam. Okay, I found it. I'm going to subscribe to that as well so I can get notifications and keep track.
Sure, yeah.
I already liked your little Facebook page so I can keep track of the posts.
Great. Fabulous.
Okay. So we got eagleandhawk.com, indiancity.ca, Indian City Music on YouTube channel, Eagle and Hawk YouTube channel, and look for that New Orleans Jazz Festival performance, folks. Yeah. I mean, please and thank you. I don't want to be like, no, go now.
There's also Vince Fontaine music. I'm just starting to.
Yeah. Your own stuff, is that more sensitive? Is that where you write your poetry?
How did you know? You are good. Yeah, it's all my. Yeah, actually, that's where I put that rock and roll Alice Cooper song today.
Okay. So yes, you can stalk Vince Fontaine of the past, present, and future there on the internets.
There you go.
I'm still trying to figure like how to connect you and Alice Cooper. That's where my brain has been most of the time, but I've tried to focus through this interview. But now I'm trying to figure out like, how do you guys do Only Women Bleed together? What's next?
I know I'm gonna have to figure. If I find it, I'll let you know.
Oh, be my tribal chairman. Sorry, I'm kidding. I don't even know where to go with this, but we're going to figure it out, Vince, because that's what we do.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate your time together, and I'm going to nerd out later, and I'm going to watch your documentary.
And let me know.
Eagle and Hawk, take this. Well, I feel like I should have watched it before this interview because then maybe I actually be good at the interview and have questions instead of just, hey, dude, what's your deal? What's up? But it's awesome that more and more of this indigenous content is out there for us to immerse in. So I'm going to make some popcorn, get some chocolate, get the dog, and we're going to have ourselves a little documentary.
Awesome. That's the way to do it. Yeah.
So, and I know that you rock as hard as you can for being Canadian.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, that's true. I did play a festival with Keith in Northern California, Tribal Stomp, perhaps. And, of course, coming from San Francisco, there was some really good players, really good players. Everybody had all those chops from Berkeley. So.
Yep. That's great. I really, beyond the fact that COVID is killing millions and people are suffering, I just want this to clear up so I can hang out with all my music friends again.
Yeah. Hey, check this out. I just because I was saying I posted this Alice Cooper song earlier.
Yeah.
Check and see this. See that guy?
You still have the jacket?
It doesn't fit anymore.
Okay.
No,
well, we gotta. We got to get you a new one.
Yeah, that's funny. A straight jacket.
And can you give us the serious look real quick? Attaboy. Vince Fontaine, Eagle and Hawk, Indian City, his own emo stuff. Check him out. Basically, just give it a Google, right? You can just put an Eagle and Hawk, and all this stuff comes up.
Sure, that sounds good.
So give him a Google. I can't wait for what happens in the fall and all the new projects rolling around in that beautiful brain of yours. So keep us posted.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
All right, you have yourself a wonderful day. And I can't wait I'm just going to play Eagle and Hawk. We're going to rock this program. No more stoic stuff.
All right, let's do that.
We're going up to 11.